In this episode of an in-depth look, I'm going to review the SlingBox HD Pro, but I'm also going to talk about how you can use some of the Sling technology hardware to get TV and other kinds of content around your house in spots where you might not have the appropriate TV wiring like coaxial cables or networking wiring and things like that. So SlingBox for your TVs and for your handheld devices and media on your computer in this episode of an in-depth look. For those of you not familiar, the SlingBox incorporates a lot of open source technology in order to sling your high-tech media around your house and to your mobile devices. It runs on a form of the Linux kernel for one, and then to get the audio and the video out there, it uses some different libraries. One of them is ZeroConf. There's a ZeroConf project that a lot of you probably know of. It uses some automatic DNS on your LAN to automatically find your devices and automatically configure them. So when you start up the SlingBox player, it can automatically connect to the SlingBox the little unit. The player software can connect to the little unit without you having to enter in any IP address information or anything like that. That's really pretty awesome. So that's ZeroConf, and a lot of you probably know that. It's one rendition of it is Apple's Bonjour or Rendezvous service, and then on the Linux side we have Avachi and we have a lot of other things. The other thing that it uses is something called SoundTouch. Now you might not have heard of SoundTouch before, but it's actually a really cool piece of open source software. It's under the GNU Lesser license. And SoundTouch is some really nice code that can scale audio on the fly. So if you have a fast connection and that connection starts to drop down, the SoundTouch can automatically scale down the audio and adjust time and pitch of the audio so that way it doesn't sound too funny, but it can compensate for a sudden drop or a sudden increase in bitrate. So the Sling player uses a lot of these very essential open source technologies to kick media around home networks. And it's interesting if you think about it, because sometimes people complain about the overall media applications available for the Linux desktop, but it's interesting when you stop and think that one of the coolest multimedia devices we have right now is being powered all by mostly open source software. The video codecs it uses, I believe, are the Microsoft VC1 codec, so that's not open source. It's some Microsoft shared source license, but it's not a GNU license or anything like that. It's still interesting nonetheless. They have a Linux, essentially a custom-built Linux box that is pumping out a Microsoft VC1 codec. The source codes are available and can be found for the different things that SlingBox does on Sling Media's website, and if you're interested you can check it out there. But let's take a look at the actual SlingBox itself, because that's where the cool stuff is. Alright, so the SlingBox Pro HD, that's this guy right here with a little red light on top. What's it do? Well, it basically lets you capture different media from your different media sources and then sling them out over the network. It has several different inputs. The SlingBox Pro HD has component, standard RCA, S-video, composite, things like that. And then for audio, it has stereo and coaxial. I have mine hooked up to my DVR over component right now. Does not have HDMI, so I have HDMI going up to my TV, and then component, both jacks are hot at the same time, so I have component going into the sling. Whenever you see the little red light here moving on a SlingBox, that means it's currently slinging. So that's a little tip for you if you don't have a SlingBox. It is currently slinging. I have it connected to my DVR with two IR blasters. Those basically send remote control commands. Now the dish DVR, it uses a radio broadcast, a UHF remote, but it also accepts IR commands. So it's able to also take in just traditional remote control commands. That's why these IR blasters work in the first place. So I can use this to capture whatever is live right now. That means whoever's here in the living room has to be at the mercy of my slinging. so I can see what they're watching. They can come turn the TV on and see what I'm watching. I can change the channel on them, so that's something to consider, but in my particular situation, that's not really a big deal. So I have it hooked up to my DVR, and it's currently going out. This guy over here, this is a gigabit switch that I had to install in my living room. Probably not a healthy thing. I don't really know, I don't have a good reason why I should need a 16-port gigabit switch in my living room, but I've got the DVR, I've got the Sling, and I've got the PS3, and then down here we have Airport Express to send music from the wife's computer to the audio system, so necessitated a gigabit switch. Plus I don't want to be limited, right? I gotta have fast stuff. So that's what we have here. We have a gigabit switch that's allowing the Slingbox to be connected to my home network, and then I'm slinging it through a variety of different options, which, you know, why don't I give you a little look as to what those are. So if you've got a Mac or a PC, then you've already got a built-in way to watch the Sling media. The Mac version and the PC version both will automatically connect to this Slingbox and stream content. The PC version for Windows is also capable of doing HD video, full HD resolution video. The Mac version does not yet have that, though I think they're claiming at the end of January. But what if you're on Linux? Well, you have a couple of different options. One option is you can watch under VMware. I have confirmed that that does work. Some playback is occasionally choppy, but for the most part it works pretty well. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the Slingbox interface, it's actually pretty slick. You get a graphical version of your remote control for your TV device, or your DVR, and then you control an interface with your TV and DVR with that same exact remote control layout. Changing channels, using the program guide, jumping back and jumping forward if you have a DVR, all those kinds of things that you would come to expect if you had the remote control in your hand. That's very neat. But what about taking it outside the computer? For myself, let's say perhaps I want to put a TV in a room where we don't have a coaxial TV jack. Well, that's where the Slingbox has you covered. And I think this is actually particularly of more interest to a lot of people. They have something called the Sling Catcher. The Sling Catcher is like a portable sling player that all it needs is either one of three types of connection. One, a standard Ethernet connection. If your house has Ethernet like mine does, then you're set. I've got Ethernet in every room, but I don't have coax in every room. Okay, so I'm set there. But the other thing they do is Sling Media will sell you a networking over power line type of kit. That means that if you don't have networking, you don't have coax, but you do probably have power, right? I'm assuming you have power where you want to watch TV. They can send the network signal over that. It's been certified by Sling Media to work with the Sling device and to be able to have enough bandwidth. Now, if you figure you can watch these Sling boxes over the internet, then I'm pretty confident that it'll work over a power line adapter. The other thing they will do is they will sell you a Sling Ethernet to wireless adapter. So it's basically Ethernet plug in one end, wireless antenna on the other end. You plug it into the back of the Sling Catcher, and now you have you've converted your wireless network into an Ethernet plug for that device. What it lets you do is you can remotely send TV to any other TV in your house, and you can also send, if you have PC and running Windows, you can also send, or I guess Windows and VMware, you can send YouTube, video files to the Sling Catcher, and also, which is particularly cool, I really think this is pretty neat, is you can send the Netflix Watch Now movies to a Sling Catcher somewhere else in your house. So if you don't have a Roku box or an Xbox 360, but you have the ability to do watch instantly on Netflix, you can send that to the remote Sling Catcher. That's really awesome. Now, a lot of you probably know that Sling boxes can also play back on portable devices. The iPhone's supposed to get something in Q1 of 2009. The BlackBerry and Windows mobile devices already have a Sling player, so you can watch your TV on the go. And actually, it works surprisingly well. Even over 3G and Edge networks, it can scale appropriately. It buffers on Edge constantly, but once it's buffered for a while, which feels like forever, it'll actually play back okay. I was impressed. The audio's mono and it's not very good, but if you're watching on your cell phone, that's totally acceptable as far as I'm concerned. So to round things up, you have the option of playback on a PC or a Mac, and on the PC version you get full HD. On the, I don't know why I keep saying, because I'm talking about Macs, it's on the Windows version you get full HD support. The Mac will soon have that. The Sling Catcher can also do full HD if you have a SlingBox Pro HD like the one I got. Now, there's several different models of Sling boxes you can get. I should mention that. You can get the Sling Solo for around $100, and that lets you send standard def over the network, over cell phones, and to a Sling Catcher. They also have a Sling HD Pro that will only send HD signals to another Sling Catcher. It won't send HD signals to your desktop. And then they have the SlingBox Pro HD, which is what I got, and that sends HD anywhere that accepts it. It's a pretty neat package, and it's pretty cool to see something this advanced be powered and almost completely run by open source technology. So if you haven't yet, you've got to check out the SlingBox. I'll link to the one that I got. I like it a lot. And I can't recommend it enough if you want to get media in a hard-to-get place. Now being able to get TV in rooms where I never thought I could get TV before, oh man, the couch potato opportunities are endless now. I think you'll really enjoy it. I'd love to hear if you have a SlingBox, or maybe you want to try out a SlingBox and have a few questions for me before you buy. Shoot me an email, chris@jupiterbroadcasting.com, or hit me up on Twitter, twitter.com/chrislas. Oh, I should mention, these shows come out in a podcast form too, with completely download portable versions. If you would like to find out all the different ways and different feeds we have for these different shows, we've got a lot of them. We've got a lot of different feeds and a lot of different formats. Go over to jupiterbroadcasting.com/forum, and in the forum, there's a general chatter section, and we have a thread called Help Me Switch to the New Last Format or something like that. A great thread in there that tells you all about the different ways you can get these shows in downloadable forms. I'll link to it in the show notes so you can find it one way or the other. But it's one of those things where we've got a lot of different options, and now with things like SlingBox, there's even more ways to consume media. Our media is definitely going online, and everybody's really has sort of this online life now. So I really think that now is the opportunity to kind of buckle down and really get your media the way you want it. I think the old paradigms of cable TV subscription plans where you get just these blocks of channels, or satellites where you get these blocks of channels, those are beginning to transition, I think. And things like Sling Media, where you can get your media anywhere on demand, or things like Hulu and Boxy, those kinds of types of services and products are really starting to break down the old system, and I think the SlingBox actually fits really well into that. Like I said, mine controls 3 different devices, so I can control a DVD player if I have a DVD and I want to watch it on the go. I mean, we're really talking about my content on my schedule with my terms. It's really kind of an exciting time in media, and I really think that a lot of people are going to really start enjoying things in a whole new way. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Definitely keep it geeky, and remember, you can use our promo codes at GoDaddy. That's Linux and Linux1, Linux and Linux1, and you can save up to 20% off a purchase at GoDaddy.com. Big thanks to everybody who does that. Keeps these shows coming, and it pays our bills, and we couldn't do these shows without those GoDaddy sponsorships and without you using those Linux promo codes. Plus, who doesn't want to use the promo code Linux when they check out? That's awesome. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of An In-Depth Look, and be sure to check out jupiterbroadcasting.com/forum and find out about all the ways you can get these shows.
This episode of An In-Depth Look was sponsored by GoDaddy.com. Starting at just $3.99 per month, Linux shared hosting from GoDaddy.com includes 99.9% uptime, 24/7 support, and free access to GoDaddy Hosting Connection, the place to install over 30 free applications sure to help you get the most from your hosting plan and website. Plus, as a viewer of An In-Depth Look, enter the code Linux, that's LINUX, when you check out and save an additional 10% on any order. Some restrictions apply. See site for details. Get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com.